Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Breadwinner Podcast. Caroline here, and I am here with a December in review episode. This is the first episode back after a little break over the holidays, and I'm excited to recap the month of December, talk about highlights, things I learned, challenges, and then, of course, a little bit of looking forward. I am coming off of a couple of weeks off. I just went full vacation mode while the kids were off of school, and it was really wonderful. So I'll talk a little bit about what that looked like as I review December, but I am really excited to be back. It feels like it has been ages. I decided to go ahead and just give myself a little bit of space and not publish episodes for that week of Christmas and then the week of New Year's. So we are finally back with episode 49. The next episode will be episode 50, and it will kick off a 3-part series, just looking back to look forward and reflecting on 2024 as we move into 2025. So I am excited about those upcoming episodes, but first of all, let's go ahead and talk about December. I love these reflection episodes because it gives me such a good chance to look back really intentionally and think about what went well, what I could have changed, and what I will convey into the coming month or months, and what I won't. So, if you remember back in my November in review episode, I closed out saying that my energy moving into December was high. I felt really optimistic and ready to just go gung ho, all in. And that really is pretty much what I did. I felt rested. I felt energized and really excited to just offer a good variety in December with some seasonal flavors and some gift baskets and some holiday options. And overall, it went really well. So my business structure, as I've mentioned in the past, has been every single Thursday, a porch pickup. And then second and fourth Saturdays, I participate in the farmer's market that's just a couple minutes from our home. And I've been doing that farmer's market consistently for over a year. I have a lot of regulars who come through there, and then I get to meet new people each week that way too. And so that has been just a really wonderful, consistent place to show up and offer my bread in our community. So December was no different. I did Thursday porch pickups on the first, second, and third Thursdays of the month. So the final one was the Thursday before Christmas. I decided to go ahead and just let that be my final bake day of the year. I went back and forth, but because Christmas was right smack in the middle of the week on Wednesday, and our family was going to be celebrating on December 24th due to my husband's work schedule, it just didn't make sense for me to be offering a bake day for people to pick up on the 23rd or 24th. It would take me away from family. We were hosting, so it would have been really stressful to try to cook and do all of that at the same time. So my final bake day was the Thursday preceding, and I told people how to freeze their cinnamon rolls, dinner rolls, breads, if they wanted to go ahead and freeze them and then serve them for Christmas. And that worked out really well. So those were my porch pickups. They were all slightly above average, I would say. I was a little bit surprised by just how much I sold for those first 2 weeks in addition to the final one with the holiday offerings. There were some orders that were clearly for gifting, so multiple orders of multiple loaves of the same type of bread. But a lot of people were just stocking their freezers too. For the most part, the porch pickups we've really hit our rhythm and they go off quite smoothly. It's always a little bit crazy on that week where I'm doing both the porch pickup on Thursday as well as the market on Saturday. And so that middle one in December was a little bit hectic, as they always are, because I'm mixing my dough for Saturday while getting Thursday's orders out on the porch. And so that's when I'm extra thankful for Melissa, my assistant, because she's able to help pack those orders while I'm over mixing the dough for the Saturday market, because I need to get that all mixed and shaped and fridged so that I can bake it on Friday for the Saturday market. That's going to change a little bit in January. I've alluded to that a little bit, but I'll talk more as that comes. But that has been the rhythm, and we just roll with it. There's a lot of adrenaline and excitement, and then a really big breath of relief when the orders go out on the porch and we get to just reset and clean up. And that's when I make my coffee and I track my heart rate with my Aura ring, and I can always see my heart rate drop for that, like, 5 minutes that I sit down with my coffee after the craziness of porch pickup. I always think it's really interesting and funny to see that instant relaxation, and then it gets going again, the all of the craziness of dough day, but that's been the rhythm of last year and then December. So those first 2 porch pickups went well, they went smoothly, and the market went well. I didn't quite know what to expect, it being slightly on the chilly side, and Texans are not generally super daring when it comes to weather, especially down here in South Texas. A lot of times they'll just hunker down and not go out when it's below, like, 50 degrees. So, I wasn't quite sure what to expect, just hopeful that people would be out buying gifts, preparing for Christmas, maybe buying just stocking up their freezer, just wanting bread for cozy meals in this holiday season. And so I brought 101 loaves as well as some cookies, scones. What else did I bring? And a few trays of cinnamon rolls as an experiment, and then a couple of my cookie gift boxes. And I was pleasantly surprised that I sold everything. The cookie gift boxes went so fast. I was shocked. I didn't bring very many because I didn't know how they would do, but they sold in the first, like, 20 minutes, and then the rest of the loaves and everything else sold, all but 1 loaf at the very end that I got to bring home for my post-market sandwich, which is my ritual. So I sold 100 out of 101 loaves at the December market. There was only 1 market in December, and I was very thankful for the community support, just thankful for the culmination of a really amazing year in so many ways. The main lessons that I would say that I learned in December came with the big final holiday bake day, that last one before the Christmas break. So I was offering just 1 type of bread. I offered plain bread, no sandwich loaves, no focaccia. I did dinner rolls, cinnamon rolls, cookies, and then scone gift boxes, cookie gift boxes, and maybe one other thing. So I did scale back a little bit, but I offered large quantities of just about everything. The dinner rolls sold out super fast, the cinnamon rolls sold quickly, but overall, I just went all in. I offered a massive quantity of everything because I wasn't quite sure what to expect. My marketing efforts were probably like 50%. I think I posted in 1 local Facebook group and then 1 or 2 posts on my bakery Instagram and Facebook. So I could have ramped up the marketing and probably gotten a lot more sales, but honestly, I was so glad that I didn't. I offered about $3,000 worth of product, which is more than I had ever offered, and only sold just over half of it. And as Melissa and I were prepping that day and getting everything out on the porch, I said, I am so, so glad that I did not sell as much product as I offered because this would have been insanity. As it was, just the sheer volume of the product that was sold was a lot. And I didn't push back the pickup time for that day, which in retrospect I should have, and I'm not quite sure why I didn't. Because for Thanksgiving, I pushed back the pickup time by a couple of hours just to give us a little margin. But for Christmas pickup, I decided to just start it at my regular 11 a.m. If I had pushed it back, we would have had a little more breathing room to get everything packaged, everything cooled and out on the porch. But we did it. The Simply Bread app allows me to require pickup windows, so people have to choose a 15-minute window of time when they order, and they don't get penalized if they pick up late, and sometimes they pick up a little early, but overall, that gives us a really helpful kind of guide, and so if we have a ton of orders to get packaged, we focus on the ones that need to be out between 11 and 11:30, and we get those out, and then that gives us like a 30-minute window to get everything else finished up and kind of in the queue to go out on the porch in their windows of time. So Melissa and I were able to get all of our 11 o'clock and 11:30 orders bagged and on the porch by 10:58, which felt amazing. We definitely high-fived and took a deep breath and then got right back to work. But I should have pushed the pickup window back because I was offering so much product. Noted for all future holiday pre-orders, I will give myself a little bit of extra time. Secondly, I didn't do a good enough job prepping things ahead of time. I did that very well in November for Thanksgiving orders. I had dinner rolls frozen, I had cinnamon rolls frozen, but I learned that with freezing that dough, and this is something that I'll talk about in the future a little more, but we talked a lot about freezing dough. And I learned that it seems that the dough that gets frozen has like a 10-day window before the leavening capabilities of the sourdough starter start to decline. So anything in my experience that was frozen longer than about 10 days didn't rise nearly as much. So my dinner rolls for Thanksgiving that were frozen longer had a really disappointing rise. They were fine. No one complained. Everyone liked them, but I just didn't feel 100% great about selling them. So for Christmas, I was determined to sell a product that I was 100% in love with, and I didn't freeze my dinner rolls at all. I probably should have prepped them the week ahead and had them frozen for at least a couple days just to give myself that buffer room. But instead, I mixed the dough on Tuesday, I shaped on Wednesday to rise overnight and bake on Thursday, which worked, but it just didn't give me quite the margin of time that I would have had if I had prepped them ahead of time. Same thing with the cinnamon rolls. I didn't end up freezing them. I just mixed up the dough on Tuesday, shaped on Wednesday, and baked on Thursday. And they rose beautifully. The dinner rolls and cinnamon rolls, I was so incredibly happy with, but I didn't have the margin of time that I should have. And so, again, lesson learned, utilize that freezer. I've talked about it before, and I just need to use my own advice and be a little bit more strategic. So I would have, like I said, mixed the dough the previous week, shaped and frozen, and then baked from frozen, just with a shorter window of time where they're in the freezer so that the quality doesn't deteriorate and they can still fully rise once they thaw. The other thing I didn't do ahead of time, which was just an oversight, was mix up the glaze for the cinnamon rolls. So I was doing that on the fly morning of pickups, and I definitely should have done that the day before or even the week before and just prepped it and scooped it into the containers so that could have been done. It came together super quickly. It took maybe 10 minutes, but that was something that I shouldn't have been doing on the day of pickup. I should not have been mixing and scooping it and labeling the containers. That should have been done. We did a really good job of getting our packaging all labeled and all of that all set. Melissa helped me tie the labels on because we did really pretty decorative gift boxes for a couple of the products. And so her help with that was tremendous and made a huge difference in the efficiency of just getting everything out. But overall, that was the lesson. Just prep ahead more. Be ahead of the curve and give myself more margin. And we've talked about that enough that I should know. And overall, I have learned I would say that this holiday season was so much smoother than previous holiday seasons for me, but I'm continuing to learn. And so hopefully you can learn from me and maybe just be more strategic for yourself as well. I was really thankful. I had some very kind feedback from 2 or 3 customers who texted me after picking up their gift box orders and just thanked me for creating that really beautiful, thoughtful gift box option. And just the fact that they took the time to send that message was encouraging and just the affirmation that's sometimes needed to stay energized and keep moving forward. Another thing in December that was a little bit unexpected was I invested in a new fridge for the bakery space. This was on the radar, but this wasn't something that I was planning to purchase until sometime in the first half of 2025. So, as I talked about before, I had been using a secondhand freezer from Facebook Marketplace, using a temperature controller to run it as a fridge. And it's been super efficient, really great. It holds temperature really well. There were a couple of moments where it just randomly stopped cooling and could have been disastrous if I hadn't caught it. And so it was just on the radar that I would be replacing it at some point, but it still operates great as a freezer. But our family meat freezer died or is on the brink where we keep a huge amount of really expensive meat. And so we sat down and we said, do we buy a new family meat freezer or do we take my freezer that works just fine that I've been running as a fridge and use that for the family and then me purchase that fridge that I was going to buy anyway. And so ultimately that's what we did. So I went ahead and bought a new fridge. I bought a 21 cubic foot convertible fridge, so it can also be run as a freezer. And it is enormous. I thought that the freezer I had was 21 cubic feet. But I don't see how it could be now that I have this new freezer because it's so massive. It's a lot taller. It's the same depth, but a little bit wider and much taller. And I don't know how many loaves I'll be able to fit in there, but we're gonna find out. It's gonna be probably over 100. Fantastic. Super excited about that. Like I said, it wasn't really on the radar. I didn't have the money specifically allocated for it, but I did have money in savings in an equipment fund. And so it worked out perfectly. I'm really excited to start out the year with this expanded fridge space. And then down the road, in the next year or so, will be bread oven and then a second fridge as well. Because even if I have the capacity for 100 loaves in this fridge, that's not going to be quite enough for the amount of product that I want to be able to bring to my biweekly markets in 2025. So that was a little bit unexpected, but a great little addition to December. At the end of December, it was just so much family time. After that final bake day, I just decided to lean into rest, and we had lots of family time, lots of games, lots of Christmas movies. We don't watch a lot of TV as a family, but we do watch Christmas movies. So almost every single night when my husband was not on shift, we watched a Christmas movie and just good food, lots of hot cocoa, lots of Christmas music, and it was really sweet. And then that week between Christmas and New Year's is always just a nice quiet moment to breathe. And I didn't do hardly any work, but I did tackle some really big organizational projects that have been just lingering, but that I never have any time for. So we have a detached converted garage, which is a really fantastic space, but we hadn't been utilizing it well. Part of it's my husband's music area, part of it's workshop, and then I just had a bunch of stuff in here. So I tackled it all, donated a lot, got so much out, and created a little office space for myself, which was much needed. So now, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see I am not recording in the bakery today. This gives me a space where I can record even when the family's home like they are today, and I don't have to shush everyone and tell them to stay out of basically the main living area because our house is open. And I can just come out here and I can make all the noise I want and they can make all their noise in the house. And so it is really a blessing. I'm really thankful for the margin that the end of December afforded to tackle this project. We also purged my daughter's room, which really needed to happen. And I tackled my own closet. So I cleared out just a bunch of clothes that aren't serving me anymore and decluttered. And we are starting out the year just on a really fresh foot. The house feels clean. We feel rested and ready to tackle whatever is coming ahead. And so that kind of brings me to the final sort of wrap up of the month in review episode, which is a little bit of looking forward. I love looking back, but I also love looking forward and creating goals. And I think they go hand in hand. So importantly, we cannot look forward without incorporating what we've learned and what hasn't served us. And so as I move into January, I mentioned that my porch pickup market schedule is going to shift a little bit. And I've alluded to this in previous episodes. But what I'm going to be doing is shifting from instead of weekly porch pickups, I will be doing porch pickups on the opposite weeks of markets, eliminating 2 of my porch pickups so that I don't have to have that craziness of porch pickup plus market on those second and fourth weeks. And that way I can offer a wider variety at both. So with porch pickups, I can offer things like large boxes of muffins, more English muffins, just a wider variety of bread flavors, and I can really listen to what my customers are asking for and expand my offerings in a way that I haven't had the capacity to do. And exactly the same for the market. There are certain things that I just don't have the capacity to offer when I am doing the market alongside a porch pickup. But now I should be able to offer more bread in general, but also more of the supplemental items, which are really what drive up the average order value. So things like ciabatta, other sweet options, cinnamon rolls, par baked pizza crusts. I'm going to be slowly adding more product. I will say my vision, my main goal for 2025 is really to position myself as the baker in my immediate community. Not in my city, not in my wide geographic area, but in my narrow community. When people think sourdough, I want them to think the Bluebird Bread Co. To accomplish that goal is going to require cultivating community and loving on my loyal customers in a much more intentional way than I have been doing. I have been fairly lax in my social media marketing. And so I am going to be implementing my own social media calendar and just posting at least 1 to 2 times a week. I'm not going to be posting every single day. I don't want to stretch myself thin, take on too much that I don't have the capacity for. And I honestly just don't have a lot of time for creating social media content. So I'm going to be wise about it and always check in with my capacity, but that is going to be a big part is cultivating that community sense of kind of ownership and connection with the brand, and then loving on my loyal customers and those who refer their friends to purchase and rewarding them with discount codes or bonuses, extra free things, things like that. Part of this vision is also going to be dialing in my numbers. So getting really clear on what are my profit margins? What is my cost? Not necessarily going to raise prices on my current offerings, but as I've talked about it before, when I bring in a brand new product, that is the time when I like to bump the prices up just a little bit to give me a little bit of a buffer. So my standard loaves have not ever changed in price, and for the foreseeable future, they won't. But when I add brand new products, for example, like a new flavor of scones or a new type of muffin or cinnamon rolls, that's when it's a great opportunity to just bump that price up to a good market price where the market will support it, but maybe just ever so slightly higher than I might be comfortable with. My experience, and this is a slight tangent that just jogged my memory, and I think I've shared about it before, but my experience is that people will buy it. Something that proved this to me was, I can't remember if I shared this in a past episode, but for Thanksgiving, when I priced my cinnamon rolls, when I loaded them onto my Simply Bread app for pre-order, the price that I had previously offered them at was $20 for a tray of 4, which honestly, I know I'm not my customer, but that feels really high to me. And so I wrestled with it a little bit, and I was going to drop the price by $2 for Thanksgiving pre-orders, but I forgot. And so I opened and published the bake day and left the price at $20 for that tray of 4, and they sold so fast. I think I offered 20 or 30 of the trays of 4, and they were sold in well under an hour. So that is just proof that people who value what you're offering, the right people, when you are reaching your correct customers, are going to buy, and they're not gonna bulk at the price. So all that to say, I want to dial in my numbers, get clear on if there are areas where I need to be wiser with how I'm spending, but also just know exactly what is coming in and what's going out, and just get more strategic on my profit margins. And then finally, the third step in the 2025 growth plan is to record all processes and systems. And so my assistant Melissa is going to be instrumental in this, but this is going to look like just creating a record of every single process that we have so that she can refer to it, I can refer to it, we're on the same page, we can streamline. But then also, if I bring in additional help in the future, or if the business pivots down the road and we expand our scale and have additional help, we need to have all of our processes. We cannot rely on it all being in my head because that is just not a sustainable process. Right now, everything is in my head. And so if Melissa has a question on something that she hasn't done before, it's not written anywhere. And that is the problem that will only grow as the business grows if we don't begin to record processes right now. So that is the third big part of the goal for January as we move forward. And I am just excited. I'm energized. As far as the podcast side, I am going to be back in the rhythm of publishing 2 episodes a week, so Mondays and Thursdays. super excited. I have some interviews that have already been recorded that I am so excited to share. Like I said, the next 3 episodes are going to be guiding you through reflecting on the past year and then looking forward to create some really wise and strategic intentions and goals to grow in the coming year. And then there are some exciting things coming. The very first thing is that the inner circle is going to be reopening to the next group of participants in just a couple of weeks. And so if you have not joined the waitlist, if you are interested in being part of this intentional small group where we come together on a video call once a week and we work through really intentional worksheets that encompass all of the 6 pillars of growing a business that is made to last. That is reopening. I'm getting a little long-winded and excited thinking about it, but the first group, we are just about to wrap up. We have just 2 final calls, and this group has grown. They have done big things. It's been so incredible to watch them grow their business in really intentional ways. And I do know that their participation in the inner circle has been really helpful in them knowing what to say yes to, what to say no to, how to grow in a really wise way that doesn't burn them out. And so if that sounds like something that you want to be part of, you want to grow in community and build the business that is the right size for you while avoiding some of the pitfalls and challenges that you might experience if you're doing it all by yourself, then sign up for the wait list. You'll be the first to find out when the inner circle opens for enrollment, and you'll have access to an early bird discount as well. So I'll put that link down in the show notes. And those doors will be opening very soon, and we will be kicking off with our very first group call in February. So I'm very excited for that. As always, if you have not yet rated or reviewed the show, that would mean the world to me. I love seeing when you take a moment to write a review on how the show has served you, or if you just click like or subscribe to follow along. All of those help other people find the show so we can all grow together. All right, I will be back soon with another episode, but until then, happy baking.